Thank you very much. So I learned it's okay to go over by time. I'm happy with that because this is a 1.5 hour presentation that I'm going to try to squeeze into 18 minutes. So here we go. Because today we're going to give... Can we get it? Yeah, there we go. We're going to get the answer to a 400-year-old question. And that 400-year-old question is... to be or not to be? Conscious of time, I did skip quite a few parts of the full presentation. The full presentation is available to you on my YouTube channel. Also, my contact details are in here. And also, I will give a bigger handout to you guys. So there's more slides in what I'm handing out. Because I'm skipping all the history and the terminology. With this audience, I think we're quite okay. So, about me, this is my Twitter handle. I'm one of the few people left on X. My 70-year-old daughter would say, okay, boomer. I worked as an end customer for a water facility company in the Netherlands. I worked as a field engineer doing Call Manager and Call Manager Express installations early 2000. That's when I lost my hair. I worked for Cisco for 14 years. I've been a CCSI for the past 20 years, and I'm back in distribution. I joined Comstore almost 2 years ago, and I'm leading the product management and marketing team for Comstore. In my spare time, I'm a dad, I'm a runner, I'm a cook. I do taekwondo, scuba diving, snowboarding, singer in a ska reggae band. I'm a Wi-Fi enthusiast. I think that works very well in this audience. And I do quite a lot of giving back activities. And I have a YouTube channel where a lot of the videos are posted as well. So this is how I started my career. This is 5-year-old Steven sitting behind my grandpa's computer. For the record, that ashtray is my grandpa's, not mine. But my love for networking started very early, yeah, my first experiences were always in the world of Cisco. I'm delivering to you today a session called 7 Ways to Fail, and it's a session that I created for Cisco Live back in 2016. And I always had a dream. I wanted to become a public speaker, and I always went to Cisco Networkers and later Cisco Live, and I was like, oh, I want to be a speaker there one day. And then one of the guys said, you can have my slot. I'm like, really? So I took it, and I built a best practices session, and it was the most boring thing ever. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to flip it around, and I'm going to show how to do it wrong. And that worked out pretty well, and I submitted it to the Cisco Live organization, and they said, are you crazy? You want to submit a session called 7 Ways to Fail? No one will sign up to your session. Well, it became quite popular, and I've seen even versions of people in Korea delivering my presentation in Korean using my slides, including my picture of me and my family. So it worked out pretty well. So it's a session on how not to fail. By now, there's quite a few versions. There's actually 23 fails now in total. I'm focusing on 7 because of conscious of time. The purpose of my presentation is I'm not going to teach you anything new. You guys are way smarter than I am. However, you and your technical skills and knowledge and expertise is on a very high level, and to get that into the understanding of the person that owns the budget, who's not technical at all, that's what I want to give you. I created an explanation, a tool set for you to explain to non-technical people why things are wrong, and that's what the 7 Ways to Fail is. Like I mentioned, it is now 23, and I summarized them all into an easy to remember handout. You can simply send me an email, and I'm more than happy to share it with you. Use it to the best way you want. During COVID, I also made a work-from-home edition. So it's all about optimizing your home Wi-Fi network. And there's a lot of Ookla in there as well, by the way. So the evolution of the Wi-Fi with this audience, I don't have to go into the details and explaining that moving to Wi-Fi 7 isn't just about replacing the access points. It is about the much more advanced use cases and being optimized and more efficient with a higher number of clients asking for the same airtime. Also here again, in the full deck, I go into details of everything, what it means with this audience. I can simply say, we skipped the basics, and we move immediately to the fails, because that's why you are here. So, fail number one, and yes, is that still important? The answer is yes. 2.4 gigahertz is what we heard a lot in our industry. And you've seen this before. 2.4 dead, 2015, 1 foot in the grave, grasping for 14. Well, actually, it's back, and it resurrected from the death. Still, there's a lot on IoT and smart home devices. There are still legacy devices that are only on 2.4. Really? Should we maybe have a conversation about migrating? But really about MLO, in the new use of MLO, 2.4 is back. So in the full deck, there is a cringe and a clippy. I just give it here as the example. Okay, they're in the full deck that I give to you, but for the timekeeping, I'm skipping them. But these are the best practices, and they're all available to you for each of the fails. So, simple rule. At the end of each fail, I have a simple rule. And simple rule number one is be inclusive, also with your Wi-Fi. Fail number two, pump those channels. Getting the biggest possible channels, that is what we want to achieve, right? So, if we look at the 2.4 and the 5 gigahertz bands today, yeah, there we go. So, as you can see, there's on 2.4 only 3 times 20 megahertz wide channels, and there's a lot more options. But if we, thank you, Keith, love this overview and the many fantastic overviews you create with the wireless LAN professionals. But as you can see here, for Europe, 500 megahertz available. And it sounds like, oh, but in the US they have much more. But it's still 500. That's a lot. There's a lot of opportunity in there. So we're very happy with that. But that also means that you need to be very conscious of what you do with your channels. Because if you look at what we have available here in Europe versus what is in the United States, that makes us guide us in our decisions on what to do with the channels. So the 320 megahertz wide channel, if you would use that, you're basically taking out a lot of unnecessary space, right? So best practices here. The standard for 2.4 is 20 megahertz. For 5 gigahertz, 40 megahertz. For 6 gigahertz, you can do 80. 160, occasionally. What about the 320? In the Netherlands, we say LVT, leuk voor thuis, which means fun for home. So if this is your house, and this is your family, okay, you have a little house on the prairie, then yes, your kids can stream at 320 megahertz wide channels. If this is not your family and this is not your house, do not use 320. So, simple rule number 2, 40 for 5, 80 for 6, whatever you do, never mix. But do take the widest usable channel, because no one wants a small glass of wine, right? I don't. Fail number 3, I don't care about IoT. IoT is not relevant to me at all. My coffee machine just followed me. I have one of those fantastic coffee machines, a Jura. I don't know if you guys know the brand. But whenever you're in a hurry and you just need that cup of coffee, it needs clean water, it needs washing, it needs cleaning, right? Can you imagine when it starts talking to you? That's going to get really worrying. IoT is having an impact on our infrastructure and on the airtime, because we see the massive increase of clients coming onto the network, and everyone is competing for airtime, and they add on to the noise floor if you're not handling them properly. So you have to be conscious of what are the IoT devices on that network. And simply thinking, I've got 4 bars is not enough, right? It is about the signal to noise ratio. I mean, if you go to your mailbox and you get an email from your manager, congratulations on your 10% raise, that is a signal that you want to receive. But if there's a 10% coupon, accept now, that is noise, right? Both come in your mailbox, and depending on which one is more important, I would say the signal is most important. So having a low signal to noise ratio, a lot of things happening, then you can't hear what's on the phone. And with a high signal to noise ratio, you can really take all the signals in, because the noise floor is very low. So simple rule number 3, 4 bars alone won't cut it. Fail number 4. My security is top-notch. We remember this guy, right? During COVID. Yeah. So I always like to use the website wiggle.net. On wiggle.net, you can see how security is trending over time. And Peter McKenzie, you're going to spend a whole session on the security. And I'm happy with that because this was actually the one that it's taken the most time, so I could skip quite a bit. But in security, it is WPA 3 is a minimum requirement for Wi-Fi 7. So if we want to use Wi-Fi 7, we need to be able to facilitate WPA 3. Now, how do you do that? It is about compatibility, right? And even though it might look, on the first instance, it looks compatible, maybe it's not. So we need to take consideration. So what options do we have for that? Well, for that, we're going to throw a party. And there's different options in the party. Option 1, we go all in. That means one SSID for 2.4, 5, and 6. That is the most secure with WPA. With WPA 3. However, it does break support for the clients if they don't support PMF in 2.4 and 5, and requires the full control of client devices, which you don't always have. Option 2. Option 2. There we go. Yeah. So a simple way is client compatibility using multiple SSIDs. The most secure where the client can adopt WPA 3 security, and if they don't support that, then you have the legacy. However, you need to configure more SSIDs, and you need to be able to provide SSID profiles on the clients. And then option 3 is a single SSID with transition mode. And with that, you have the option to have one SSID and actually facilitate for both. So, simple rule number 4. Wi-Fi 7 keep you secure. With WPA 3, that's strong for sure. Fail number 5. I need more power. Forgetting about the access points and the rest of the network. Let's be honest, that is something that's still happening. So let's talk about power. Girl power in this case. When we talk about power and power over Ethernet, we see that there's an increase, and we also see that the use cases for different types of power is rapidly increasing. And more smart buildings, more and more devices that were normally not connected to the network are now being connected to the network. And even things like lights and smart building systems are now using power over Ethernet as well. 802.3bt requires more than 30 watts. So what is the ideal platform to make that happening? So for basic, PoE and PoE+, but then you can't use all the radios. There is PoE++, also entry level with the Meraki MS150s. Then there's the Catalyst 93 and 9400s, and in the top line, there's the enhanced with UPoE+ and MGig. All options are possible, and also migration programs are available. So, talk about MGig. With these features like MLO, multi-link operation, we really start to reach the end of the gigabit capacity, so we need to start talking about MGig as well. And where you're doing that, you need to talk about the cables as well, because you can't provide the same connection and power over all these cables. So Cat5e, Cat6, I would say, is the standard, and Cat6a or higher if you want to support 10 gig over 100 meter for best of future-proofing. And if you're doing new deployments, Cat6a would be the recommendation. So, simple rule number 5, Wi-Fi 7 APs are like performance cars. They do need a smooth track and new tires to perform at their best. Fail number 6, design. Who cares? Well, if you design wrong, then you have issues, so you do need to take them into consideration before you go live, right? And things that you look at, your path loss, your cell size, absorption, noise, and the type of coverage, and then, of course, what type of clients. And there's all kinds of tools available. Obviously, Ekahau in the new enhanced AI RRM is now available as a trial license as well in the dashboard, so you can simply click it and play with it and see what it does, and you can connect that back to Ekahau. And a sensor that I like using is YBot, but looking at today's update, we could add this to the speed test pulse. I would say is doing something similar to that. So having the perspective on the network from a client perspective. So giving you options to provide better planning and assurance. Catalyst Center itself is doing more and more as well with AI, RRM, and doing mapping in the Catalyst Center. And that is helping you as well to optimize the network, even though you can't be on site all the time. Because then, the next part, where do you put your access points? Does it really matter? Well, you've seen already today. Yes, it does matter. So here you see a few examples. Classic. These are, by the way, from BadFi. This one I took myself. This is from the school from my son. And this is literally what happened. They knew, you do something in IT, right? So what do you do? And I explained what I do. And I said, Wi-Fi. We have an issue with Wi-Fi. And he told me, we have an issue. And they fixed it. This is how they fixed it. Tobias, I'm pretty sure you're happy with the replacement of the access point, right? But the problem is still there, Faraday's cage. I really like this one, separating the access point from the wall. I mean, they should bring this to production, right? Obstacles, you can simply squeeze your AP above your metal pipe, not a problem at all, or your antenna squeezing out. Not using an antenna at all. I mean, the access points are expensive already, right? Why would you pay extra cost? Or not knowing how to use an antenna. I mean, here you see an access point pretty high up in the ceiling. And when you zoom in, you can actually see that the polarization is not how you want it to be, right? Not knowing how to use your antennas. I mean, I would have done it the other way around. That would have been more efficient, I would say, right? MLO is nothing new. They did it already in the past. Although in the beginning, when they came up with MLO, they didn't call it MLO. They called it wireless stacking, which they already did before that as well, wireless stacking. As you can see, 2 is better than 1, right? But everyone knows that this is wrong, because stacking is something you do in the wiring closet, right? When you are afraid of radio waves, what do? You put a Faraday cage behind it. This is very helpful. Luckily, now you can buy a device on Temu that absorbs the Wi-Fi signals. And I mean, I'm Dutch, and we like to do things cheap, right? So this is how I would do that. I'm a barbecuer, and I do this to my pulled pork. Anyway, who needs brackets? I mean, duct tape. Another great example. Who needs brackets? Another one. I took this one from a customer that wanted to have directional antennas, and this is how he fixed it. And this is the access point that is the closest to my actual office. Okay, so my office where I sit to work, and this is the access point that I connect to. Not all vendors supply brackets, and if that is the case, you simply screw them. Wi-Fi extenders. I'm not a big fan of Wi-Fi extenders. I think I can say that in a safe way in this room, right? It's a safe space to say that. But if you do want to buy an extender, do not buy it from Temu, because that's what you get. Really, you can buy this product. Really. All right, if you want to do outdoor Wi-Fi, then make sure that you use the proper enclosure. You can do it the MacGyver way. And of course, if you have a lot of stuff to install, then you do it this way. My absolute new favorite one. Is it coming in? Yeah, that's this one. Oh yes, there it is. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, simple rule number 6, like in real estate, it's all about location, location, location. And then fail number 7. Fail number 7 is, I'll wait for the next upgrade. Well, let's be honest, this is the fastest transition ever that we've seen in Wi-Fi. We see this market really ramping up very, very quickly. We also see that there's still a massive, massive installed base of Wi-Fi 5 and even Wi-Fi 4 out there. And all these customers, if we reach out to them and talk about Wi-Fi 7 and the benefits it brings to them, there is a lot of opportunity. So with that, the question, to be or not to be, I think you know the answer. The answer is yes. Right? So Wi-Fi 7 and the 6 gigahertz band is here. It's real, and we all benefit from it. So embrace it, be happy with it, and let's bring it to our customers. Because 802.11 BE Wi-Fi 7 is Wi-Fi.